Hi students, sorry about the sort of informality of it. I hope you can hear this. I started out typing an email clarifying about impromptu speaking, and it didn't really work to explain it in an email, so I figured I would make a video and explain it that way. Basically, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration because I think I might have been a little unclear on Monday about exactly how to do an impromptu speech. So, I just want to do a quick demonstration of basically what you're doing during your prep time, basically, because, yeah, I think it might have been a little bit confusing. So let's say that I get the topic love. We'll keep it simple. So you don't have to, but I always write at the top. So you just, blank piece of paper, I just write at the top my topic. I mean, you probably shouldn't forget in the 2 minutes that you have, but I don't know, I just like to do that. It kind of helps me. So you can do that as your first step. And then after that, immediately what you're going to want to do is think of your 3 topics. So let's say that I decide to do, my 3 topics are going to be the 3 Greek words for love. So I just write those down. Number 1, now I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing these right, but okay, I'm just going to write down exactly, I'll explain, but I'm going to write down what I would write down if I was doing an impromptu speech, because it would be very basic. Okay, so this is what I wrote down. The 3 Greek words for love. See, I started to write an explanation right there, but I wouldn't really do that during while I was preparing my impromptu speech. I probably wouldn't do that. So I've got, I hope I'm pronouncing these right, eros, and that is romantic love, phileo, which is brotherly kind of love, affection, and then agape, which is unconditional love. So those are my 3 points, and I've got that. So that's immediately what I would do. Write down my topic, and then 3 points right away. Then I want to come up, like we said, I want to come up with an example for each one of my topics. So I'm going to write for romantic love, I've got Romeo and Juliet. Actually, when I do this, I'd probably make it even more shorthand than this instead of actually writing out Romeo and Juliet, because you've got 2 minutes and it's really not a lot of time. So I can't spell. Okay, and then I wrote W Penn for William Penn, and then agape was Christ. That's easy. So at this point, it depends on how quickly I've been thinking, how well my brain's been working. My 2 minutes of prep time may be up. So I would just have this, and that's what I would give my speech on. And I would just either try to make up a conclusion in the 2 seconds that I'm walking up to give my speech, or I would just kind of launch into what I'm saying, or just kind of make something up about love in general, and then start into my 3 points. If I have time after this, which is always nice, then I'm going to come up with an introduction and conclusion. So I didn't really leave myself room here, but introduction. So let's say for my introduction, I'm going to tell a story that I know about these 2 twin brothers. I actually kind of use this one a lot in impromptu speeches. There are these 2 brothers who are twins, and one of them's really good, one of them's really bad. The bad one gets in trouble. The town goes to his house and wants to kill him. He hides at his twin brother's house. His brother decides to save him. He has them switch clothes. He basically takes on his brother's identity. He tells his twin brother, the bad one, to run away. He stays there, pretends to be his brother. When the townspeople come, they think he's his brother, the bad one, so they put him to death, and so he ends up dying for his brother. So anyway, so that would be my story, and I'm going to tell part of that in my intro. So I'm just going to say, I would really just write something like this, like bro. And I would just tell the first part of that story. And then I would say something, so today we're going to be talking about love, the 3 different types of love, using the 3 different Greek words for love. I think there are actually 4, but let's just say there are 3. So then, I'm not going to tell the whole thing. I launch into that, and then after I'm done with my 3 points, I come back in my conclusion. Obviously I would recap my 3 points. I don't have to write that down for myself. and then I would come back to my story. I probably wouldn't write this down, but I can write that down. I just write bro again, so I finish that. And then I would close with something like the verse somewhere in John that says, greater love has no man than this, than he lays down his life for his friend. So I'm just going to write John. Or I could write Bible or verse or something like that. So it's very, very, very basic and simple because 2 minutes is not a lot of time and you're using a lot of the time to think. So you want to just jot down stuff in shorthand as quickly as you can, and that way you can spend more time thinking than you do writing. So I hope that clears some things up for you guys. I have the feeling that you guys were kind of writing out a little bit more than you should have been, and kind of like you don't want to write out whole sentences. Unless you really, really absolutely need to, but you shouldn't have to. It should be just write down a word or two for each point. But you should have understood the order already because we went over that in class. Yes, anyway, I hope that clears some things up. Another thing is, you aren't technically supposed to take this up with you when you speak. Technically, you're only allowed to take up the topic that you brought with you, the topic that you draw, and you have to kind of just remember the outline that you came up with. Hope you remember the outline you came up with. But what we're going to do in class is we're just going to, you guys can bring your outline up because, I mean, you're not going to have a lot of time to practice, and we just are doing this for 1 week just so you guys get a feel for what impromptu is like. So that's pretty much it. I hope that helps clear some things up.